In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how buyer's agents do get paid, what changed in August of 2024, and also the things you should be doing before you ever go to our home. Oh, and make sure to stay till the end because I'm going to tell you exactly what mistake buyers are making before they ever step inside a home. Let's talk about what actually changed in August of 2024. Prior to August 2024, sellers used to offer a buyer's agent compensation through the listing or through MLS. This was a commission or compensation fee that was being offered to us before we ever showed the home or toured the home with our clients or even scheduled the showing. Today, this is no longer how buyer's agents are compensated, and now it's actually part of the offer process. So now that the compensation isn't being offered in the listing, realtors have to have their buyers sign an agreement prior to ever touring homes or ever even scheduling a tour. This agreement includes three main things: the term, the location, and the agent fees. Now let's break down these three components of the agreement. Now the term is how long you're going to be working with your agent. A lot of agents are going to ask you to sign a 30, 60, or 90-day commitment, and make sure you're comfortable with whatever you're signing. And in my opinion, you should never sign more than a 6-month. It's just not necessary. Location is obviously the geographical area of where you're searching, but there's different ways of identifying this. You could do a neighborhood search like a Scottsdale ranch. You could do a city search like Scottsdale, county search, like for us here, it's Maricopa County, or you could even just include the whole state, Arizona. I would really stick to city and be very specific, and that way there's no confusion and everyone's got a clear understanding of where we're moving forward. Last is the agent compensation or fee. Now, this is really important because whatever you agree to with your buyer's agent is what you're going to also be asking the seller to pay. And if the seller isn't willing to pay this fee, you could be on the hook for the balance. So let's break this down a little further. How do we ask the sellers to pay for your buyer's agent fee? This is the part that most buyers don't know, and this is the part I want to give you the most clarity on so that you don't become responsible for a balance of any fees. And there's one important step you need to make sure your agent never misses in all of this. In Arizona, we do this through a purchase contract and supporting documents that outline exactly who's paying the fees and what the fee actually is. So while compensation is negotiated differently today than it was prior to August of 2024, sellers are still paying most buyer agent compensation fees, and that's because they want to get their home sold to a serious buyer. Okay, so here's what some realtors miss, and I want to make sure your realtor doesn't miss this. When we make the offer the very first time, you can't go back and do this later. When we make that very first offer, there is a checkbox that you must check to include that we are requesting compensation to be paid. And if that box isn't checked, you are going to be responsible for either the balance or the entire compensation that was outlined in the very first original agreement with your buyer's agent. And in just 1 second, I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake buyers are making, and it could cost you the house. But first, if you're enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button. We're a newer channel, and we do appreciate the support. So what's the number one mistake I'm seeing buyers make with these agreements? It's not fully understanding what these agreements are and what you would be liable for. So make sure to fully understand your agreement, make sure you're comfortable with the buyer's agent you have selected, and that way you are not on the hook for any compensation when you're purchasing a home. This is a legally binding contract, so if things don't go as planned, you could be responsible for paying your agent fees. Now, let's say you and your realtor agreed that they were going to ask for, let's say, 3% to represent you. And you make an offer and the seller says, we love your offer, we love everything you've put in, but we're not paying 3%, we're going to be paying 2%. Now, there's two ways to go about this. Your realtor could either reduce their total compensation down to 2%, and that 1%, poof, just goes away. But if you don't do this, you are going to be responsible for that additional 1%. So if the original ask was 3 and a seller's only paying 2, you might be responsible for that 1%. Now, there's a way to ensure that your realtor confirms and fully agrees to this 2% reduction, and that's through another addendum that you and your realtor will sign, addressing that original buyer agreement that said 3% now is adjusted to 2%, And that way the seller pays the full 2% compensation as they agreed to, and you're not responsible for that 1%. So getting that agreement signed between you and your realtor when the negotiation is happening is very important, because if you don't have that and you get to the closing table and the seller's only paying 2%, you're on the hook for that 1%. Next, I'm going to break down exactly what a good buyer's agent should be doing for you. But if you're a seller and you want to know how these compensation fees could impact you when selling, I've made a video that I'm going to put right here that breaks down everything you need to know when you're selling. Everyone talks about compensation, but no one really talks about the value of a good buyer's agent. Now, in my career, I've been lucky enough to help families secure their dream homes, and these are the fundamental things that I brought to the table every time, and if I missed one, I just felt I wasn't doing my job. So let's break down what it means to be a good buyer's agent and bring true value to the transaction. Here are my 5 key tasks every great buyer's agent should do for you. Find the right home, negotiate the best deal, lead the process, coordinate every detail, and protect your investment. And if your buyer's agent is missing one of these 5, you may have the wrong agent. Now, one of my bonus tips for buyers is to always get pre-qualified by a local lender, just so you know exactly how the current rates are impacting you and truly how much home you can afford. A great buyer's agent should help you buy the right home at the right price and help protect your investment every step of the way. If you're buying or selling here in Arizona or just have questions, drop them in the comments and I will respond personally. I'm Jonathan Budwig with Selling Arizona, and I'll see you on the next one.